Good morning,
Mr.
Jason.
Oh, that's right, Mr. Craig. Guess what time it is, Mr. Craig?
Well,
I'm going to cut you off, Mr. Craig.
why you asked me a question? You cut me off.
That's what I do. So I'm thinking,
Is it what you
it's
do?
that it's time for Road Renegade Ryan Hanley's handy tips for marketing quips.
What? Did you just say quip?
Oh, maybe I did. You quip talking to me like that, Mr. Craig.
Why you give me such a weird sound quip?
Shut your lips and let's listen to these quips.
Let's do this.
Buckle up, it's the Insurance Dudes podcast.
Hey, Craig, this year I got some crazy growth goals for my agency, and actually I've been talking to a few other agents. They got some crazy growth goals. So can you tell me a little bit about what you're doing that's just crushing it in your agency right now?
Yeah, well, we're doing a lot of internet data leads through a company called EverQuote, and they're actually one of our sponsors.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, part of the Accelerated Growth Program, which includes having your own consultant that's going to go over your results, and it's positioned to make those leads cost less so that you have lower acquisition costs. It makes it totally doable.
Awesome. And so what has been your favorite parts about it so far?
I like the visibility into the results, and being able to compare what the numbers that they get on their side with the numbers that I get on my side, and seeing that they mesh up. So we know that the data is correct, and that we're actually in a cost per policy or cost per sale that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah,
Cool.
They make it real easy to track. And you know what? Guess what? They gave us a deal to offer to all of the insurance dudes and dudettes out there.
Oh, I got to know about this.
Yeah, all you need to do is go to go.everquote.com/insurance dudes. That's go.everquote.com/insurance dudes.
And they give all the insurance dudes out there a killer price on this. So I'm signing up.
Ryan Hanley. We just finished our sound check, and here Jason is with
boom.
There he is.
There we go.
Anticlimactic intro. Take two.
I was in and then I was out. Now I'm back. Ryan,
what's up? Oh,
how
dude,
you doing, man?
the fact that you have a rad poster behind you means that we are going to be very, very good friends. That's my all-time favorite movie ever.
Really?
Oh, fuck yes. Blue Jones
Nice.
is like one of the coolest characters in the history of motion picture.
That's really interesting. I don't think anybody has ever even pointed out the rad poster.
Oh, yeah. Who doesn't want to
No.
go ass sliding with Lori Loughlin? Jesus Christ. It's like every little boy's dream.
Exactly. That's what I've been trying to say.
Right? So let's since we're taking a step back in the past, Ryan, what was the first concert that you've ever been to?
So I'm going to say something. I am not a big concert guy in general, just in general.
Maybe that's an insurance dude thing.
I like live music in like bars, like, bands and shit, just rocking out, whether it's their own stuff or cover stuff.
Sure.
I'm not a big concert guy because this is going to sound terrible. I don't particularly care for the people who go to concerts, not the hardcore people, the tourists. They're like, I don't really listen to music that much, but I'm going to a concert tonight, so I'm going to be all. I try to avoid that scene. So I like. But to answer your actual question, it was Dave Matthews was my first one.
Dave Matthews.
Ooh, we've had a couple of those.
I like that. Well, the reason why I like that question is usually it's the parents that take you there, or the brother or the sister, and it's usually something that's super in at that time. That's why you went there at a young age.
Okay, so I need to readjust my answer. If we're talking about what my parents took me to, it would be Reba McEntire.
Now that's fun.
There we go. Now we're getting real.
So the first ever, I think I was like 12, and my dad, even though I'm from upstate New York, my dad pretty much wishes that he was born in like 1864, like in the Nevada territory. Like he would prefer to be born in a place where it's like the territory, like whatever the territory, that's what he would prefer. He was born in the time period when we were still like the Nevada territory. You know what I mean? Like
owned by Mexico.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's always been a cowboy.
Nice.
It sounds like he has a mustache.
He did. He doesn't anymore, but he did. Yeah. So he would show up to, so I was a baseball player and he was my coach for a lot of it. He would show up like, cause we did have horses, but like he would show up like he'd be taking his chaps off in the parking lot to the games. He'd have a big ass like Wrangler belt buckle on, a cowboy hat, one of those thick ass Wrangler shirts. And that's how he would coach first base.
Wow.
That's
and it was
awesome.
just like, okay, this is what's happening. And
there's nothing you can do about that.
Nothing you can do. I was just, okay, that's my dad. All right.
So let me ask you on that row. I think there's two ways that can go. The dad being coach, either you get everything handed to you or it's 10 times harder.
Yeah, it was more than 10 times harder. I mean, I probably got the opportunity to try out a couple positions that I ended up being an outfielder in college. So I probably got to try out a couple other positions like third and second that I probably wouldn't have got a shot at. But as soon as I sucked at those, he
just
yanked me right away. It wasn't like
humiliated in public.
Let you be terrible in that position. It was like, here, I'm gonna let you try this because I make the lineup. And then I'd boot a ground ball and he'd be like, nope, you go back out there. So.
That's funny.
Well, Ryan Hanley, welcome to the Insurance Dudes. Thanks for that awesome intro.
Yes.
For anybody who hasn't heard of you or lives under a rock, why don't you take us back a little bit after the baseball or the childhood baseball and tell us how you ended up in this world.
Yeah. So I was working for American Express in New York City and I was dating my wife, and we are both from the Albany, New York area, which is about 2.5 hours north of New York City.
Do you know Derek Forget?
What?
Do you know a guy named Derek Forget?
I do not.
Okay.
Not. But there's
the buddy from Albany. I know it's this
Derek Forget.
You never know.
One guy.
Yeah, one guy. Down. It's not a big place.
I know. That's why I thought you might know.
Yeah. I'll know. I'll figure out who that is.
We'll go there later.
Yeah. I should have just said yes. Oh yeah. Yeah, bro. Virtual fist pound.
There you go.
So yeah. So my wife and I met in college, even though we were both from Albany, but we didn't really hang in the same circles. You're kind of aware of each other. It didn't really matter. So we eventually randomly like meet each other slightly later in life. And we both live in New York City. I'm working a shitty job. She was working an okay job. And we basically decided we wanted to move back to Albany. And I think her dad kind of saw the writing on the wall. And he didn't want his little girl to be married to a bum. So he, during a Christmas party, takes me out of the Christmas party to this is like out of The Godfather, like takes me to this room with the wood paneling on the walls and the high leatherback chairs. And he sits me down and essentially makes me an offer that I can't refuse. Like, which is, hey, I want you to come sell insurance at the Murray Group. And like his son, who also works at the agency, is like standing behind him, like over his shoulder.
Wow.
I'm not kidding you. This is like straight out of a movie. And I wanted to marry his daughter. So what was I going to say? So I said, sure. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to be a bum either. So I cut my teeth. I started selling May of 2005, I think 2006, to be honest with you. I can't remember now, somewhere around there. Hawking home and autos and small commercial, pounding the streets, driving around, doing all the traditional things that you do to sell insurance. And what I found was I was really, really terrible at selling insurance that way. I just like, it was brutal. It's funny. Today I love selling. Like I love it. I love selling. I love everything about it. I love sales. I love marketing, customer experience. I mean, it's such a big part of just every interaction I have in my life, not just my business life. I'm thinking about these things. And back then, oh my God, I was scared to death. I'd be standing out in front of like a business that I'm about to present like a $500 bop to. And I'd have like Metallica going like,
get psyched
to sell a policy that I'm gonna make like $100 on. And,
right.
That wasn't working very well for me. And about a year and a half in, and I promise this, we'll pick up the pace in a second, but about a year and a half in, my father-in-law sits me down and basically starts to fire me. Like, he basically is like, I'm not sure that this is going to work out. Like, you're not really doing that well. Which obviously I was fully aware of. I mean, I was physically present in all the Monday morning meetings where I wasn't.
Right.
So that was a tough moment. And whether it was just serendipity or just I had to make something happen and whatever, I ended up finding the internet, I guess you could say. Like, I just found LinkedIn, and there was a couple people that I wanted to connect to, and I started going, geez, I'm actually being able to, I'm in comment chains on LinkedIn with people who literally won't take my phone call in the real world.
Yeah.
And something triggered in my mind. It was like a moment in my life where I was like, there's something here. Like at the time I was probably 27, 28 years old. But I look very young for my age in general. So if I'm 27, I looked like I was about 16. So I just didn't do very well when you met me. I didn't instill confidence in you in that moment.
Right.
So, but on the internet, that wasn't the case. Right, on the internet, because I am through and through a nerd for insurance. I read policy forms. I like the business. It's an odd thing to like, but I was also a math major, so I guess that kind of makes sense. But like, I knew the business for as much as someone 3 years in the business could. I knew the business. I spent a lot of time digging into the business of insurance. I had already started my CIC. I had been to Travelers Producer School. I had done work to get better. And online, if I wrote a blog post or I did a video talking about insurance, I could come across as very knowledgeable. I could express my knowledge in that format in a way that people related to. When it was me in person, you were like, geez, this kid sounds kind of raw. He looks pretty young. Like, I don't know. But in the digital sense, that wasn't the way. So I actually started to attract business digitally. Which ultimately
this is like 08, 09, probably.
This is 08, 09, 2010. I started to really get going. Business really started to cook. Now the caveat here is I'm doing this now if you were to go to there today, it doesn't look anything like it did. If you go to ryanhanley.com today, that's like I write about insurance stuff there. But when that site was launched, when ryanhanley.com was originally launched, it was launched as the Albany Insurance Professional. I was writing about coverages. Now, in 2011, my father-in-law and my brother-in-law basically they saw this business that I was getting, and they came to me and they said, you know what, you're doing it on your own site, which they were perfectly cool with. They were like, why don't you come do it for the Murray Group? Which I was actually happy to do because there was this odd disconnect between why is he work for the Murray Group, but he's doing it on a different site. So I was okay with that. And when I did that move, I launched something which really kind of was the catalyst for my career. Was in December of 2011, because I wanted to jumpstart that website. In December of 2011, I started asking every client, every single person I bumped into, if you could have one insurance question answered, just one, what would it be? This question is too silly, too big, too large, too small. It doesn't matter. Nothing's out of bounds. Just what's the first thing that pops in your head? You'd love to have this question answered about insurance. I collected 147 questions, and I pared those down to 100. And starting on January 2nd of 2012, I answered one of those questions every single day for 100 days in a row, 2 minutes or less, using YouTube. So I would just hold the phone up with my hand and I'd say, hello, My name is Ryan Hanley. I am a producer here at the Murray Group Insurance Services. And today we're going to answer the question, what is underinsured motorist coverage? And then I'd barf the answer. At the end, I'd say, if you need help or you have a question, or if you'd like a quote from us, give us a call and I'd spit the number out. End of video, YouTube. Take the YouTube video, embed it on the Murray Group website. And I just did that 100 days ago. And it changed the whole. We've now done that. We can track to those particular videos more than $300,000 in revenue from those videos, and they still produce new leads today.
So crazy, and it's just something that it does, just like this podcast, right? We started with one, and we kept doing 3 every week, and all of a sudden we've got a ton of them.
Yeah,
and it's just a function of starting, which humans have a hard time of doing.
It's compound interest.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure. Now you have a digital footprint. Digital footprint, right?
Yeah.
If you go on the interwebs, up pops your name and a bunch of videos about.
So I have to say something to you. In the last 6 months, I've had 3 other Ryan Hanleys reach out to me about the fact that they can't rank on the first page of Google for almost anything. There is one guy who there's another Ryan Hanley who I think he's a professor at Princeton or something, and he occasionally slips on that page. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough to be another Ryan Hanley.
Sure.
You should just tell him good. That's the goal.
It's like Highlander, bro. There can only be one.
Change your name.
And there's so many people that are jumping into this world crazily at this time, and I think that we all go through that same experience. I started before insurance. I was at Merrill Lynch, and I remember those meetings when I was fresh out of grad school. I was young, in my mid 20s, and coming into a meeting with somebody who has $1 million in assets that they want to roll over or whatever. And just like the first meeting, I had sweat dripping down my face, and it fail, but it's the thing, and a lot of people eject. And I think for the listeners and anybody that's new, it's so important to just keep grinding, whether it's make that video a day, and you could do it, like they could go and look at all the videos you made and do the same thing, right? And they're going to create a footprint for themselves. It doesn't matter. I mean, the internet is just filled with people saying the same stuff over and over. And in order to increase your brand, which you've done, which is remarkable, right? And it's led to speaking, and it's led to all of these other things. It's just doing the steps, grinding it out and not expecting results right up front.
Yeah. I was actually having this conversation today because I'm part of a Facebook group that is all about video marketing, like insurance people who do video marketing. And I posted a video on there that I'm as part of the launch of my agency, Rogue Risk. And it was funny. So I've probably produced more video than almost anyone in that group, and probably most of them combined. And, and here's what I'm going to say to you is they tore it apart, and I was completely okay with that. And I believe personally that is a superpower of mine. And I don't say that in a braggy way. I mean, no. You cannot have an ego when you do this work, because 100%. Someone's always going to have an opinion. So you guys know from producing this podcast, right? People always go, oh, why do you guys do this? Why do you guys do that? Why do you say this? Oh, why'd you have this person on? You have somebody on, and then there's some weird click shit where someone over here is like, oh, you had them on? I can't come on your podcast. And it's like
somebody's pissed.
Someone's always pissed, and you can't care. You just have to keep and what I do, and again, 10 years ago, I was not as good at this as I am today. Today, I take all their feedback. I wasn't saying that like their feedback wasn't valuable. It was. Today, I take that feedback and I'm making little tweaks and making it better. Yeah. Cool, let's get it out. But so you can't have an ego. The second thing is you just have to hit publish. So like they had tweaks, and I'm going to take and tweak a couple parts, but then I'm just going to hit publish and go, that one's not perfect. The next one will be better. Because no one piece of content that you create, and this is like one of the hardest things to get through most people's heads, no one piece of content you create is going to change your life. So, and you have no ability to pick which pieces of content do well and which don't.
For
you have
sure.
no ability to pick that.
This one's going to kill it. Nope. That's the one that tanks.
Yeah. You have no idea. You don't. So in the creative pursuits, if you try to choose which piece of content is going to work and which isn't, the muse leaves, right? She sits on your shoulder. She gives you advice. She gives you guidance. She gives you strength. If you fuck with her, she will leave. And by trying to predict this process, is you're going to piss her off. I so believe in the muse. And right now, she's sitting right here. And she's like, Ryan, just hit publish on that video. Stop being, stop overthinking it. Like that's real life. Now, that sounds a little crazy, but, I'm also coming to you from a basement. So.
No, it's true. I mean, I always bring up good examples, the Beatles, right? I mean, they were only around for 7 years. They went through so many different transitions, phases. You see one year and you see the next year and you're like, oh my gosh, it seems like 10 years had went by. They're growing out their hair. You know what I mean? And in that time, I think they did like 200 something songs.
Yeah.
Right? Not all of them were great. Well, I mean, some people would argue that point, but whatever.
Most were great.
But my point is this, is how many times do bands put out a few songs a year? Or like nowadays, or back when albums were out a few years ago, they would put out an album every 2 years. That's 12 songs every 2 years. That sucks. Like, you know what I mean? Especially to compare with the Beatles. I was in bands when I was young, and I look back and we had a little bit of success for so many years. And I look at the amount of songs that we wrote, and it was minuscule. Like, we'd write like 20 songs over 3 years or something. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, you could literally write a song a day. Like, if you write a song a day, your writing skills, your music skills will be phenomenal within a couple years.
So I think what's interesting is, speaking to that specific example. So very debatable whether every song the Beatles published officially or not is epic. You could debate that both sides. I'll tell you when their music wasn't epic. All those years that they spent in Germany banging away in the strip clubs and in the bars, hacking through songs when, what's his face could barely drum. Like, that's those years, they're still producing music, but no one talks about anything during that time. Because one, they were in friggin' Germany in like the 50s, and two, like they weren't good. You know what I mean? Like, they literally weren't good. They were taking jobs almost basically for free just to practice. And I think what we've forgotten is that you have to do that work. You have to practice because your audience is going to choose what's good and what's not. What you just said to me about the music industry, and what I find so interesting about it, is that when they were producing albums and they can only produce 12 songs every 2 years, right? Basically, the band more often the case, the producers or the record label was telling the audience, here's what's good. Today, that is completely and 100% the opposite way. Now the audience gets to say, here's what's good and here's what's not good. And the only way to have more good stuff is to produce more bad stuff, right? That's the only way you get to figure it out. Now, in insurance, right, and when you're having a professional business, it's not a creative pursuit in that regard. So it's a little different. Right? You want to put something out that looks completely terrible, or you got your shirt off, or you're wearing a MAGA hat, or you're wearing some other, whatever the opposite of a MAGA hat is. Like, like, you need to remember those decisions have ramifications. You know what I mean? So there's a little, you got to be a little smarter, but I think the principle still holds that we can't hold ourselves to such high standards. Just produce and produce again and produce again, and let your in this case, your prospects and potential customers decide which pieces of content are valuable to them and which aren't.
Yeah, and to your point, like, let's say an insurance agent that's in the middle of Arkansas or something, right? If they did one YouTube video just holding up, not doing everybody's waiting for the professional thing, right? I got to wait till I get the mic or the camera or something like that. They just held up their phone, took a video every day talking about something in their town every single day for 1 year. They would be a legend in their town, and they would probably get more business from that than anything else that they could do, going to the Chamber of Commerce or anything like that.
I have a $3,000 camera setup right off my right shoulder. I use that 50% of the time, and I use this cell phone 50% of the time. So you do not need that thing. And that, you know what I mean? Like, I love that. I'm nerdy. That's why I like it. I like thinking about colors and lighting, and I like that. I like the cinematography aspect of it as a hobby. If you are doing this for your business, you spend $1,000, no more, if you're really trying to go crazy. Otherwise, just use this. I'll actually give you a great tool. I'll give the audience. This is a pro hack. Hold on. Pro hack.
Ooh, pro hack.
Pro hack coming at you. So this is called moment lenses. Is this video? Will they get to see this?
Yes.
Well, maybe later.
So I'm holding this up to the camera for those that are watching at home. This is a moment lens. Okay. This attaches, and there's a bunch of different systems. I like Moment the best, but you can pick out which one yours best. Your cell phone case. So cell phone case, this is the cell phone. And this attaches right to my cell phone like this. Bam. Right? So now you can see there's an extra lens. If you want to go basically the 3000 camera, you lose a little tiny bit of depth of field. I probably shouldn't even have said that to you because it means nothing. But like, if you want to go basically pro level video with your cell phone and it works for it, go with a Moment lens. It attaches right on. Bam. They got a little app. You put it on a tripod. You have now spent less than $200 and you have pro level video. And, and you just don't need more than that. You just absolutely positively don't need more than that. You can do slow-mo. You can do time lapses. You can do fish eyes. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. You can do it all from your camera for less than $200.
Love it.
Love it. Look at that. Pro hack. And you can just we'll even put the link to that in the show notes. So you can get it.
Boom.
Boom.
What else? It's so true. I mean, we really honestly have so much resources. It's crazy. I think that we have so many resources these days. I mean, you can look up on YouTube literally how to do anything in life. Like, you don't need to go to school ever again. And if you watch YouTube, there's a video on how to do everything. You can learn how to do everything. I think we have so many resources. It's almost like, it's like overload. And then you see the best versions of things and the worst, like all this stuff. And it's like, you get that paralysis. Like, I'm not going to do anything. It's like, dude, go do something. Like you can figure it out. Like, you can research the M lenses in 2 seconds on your phone, download, order from Amazon if that's your hang up. Like, you're waiting for the good lens or whatever. You can order that, get that same day delivery, record the video and upload it to YouTube, and watch a tutorial on YouTube how to do that. And you can do that all in a few hours.
Yeah. I'm gonna give another pro hack here.
Ooh,
so Udemy, UDEMY, the training system. Yep. I taught myself how to use Google Tag Manager and implement full Facebook, Instagram pixels, conversion pixels, event tracking, funnels in 2 hours on a Tuesday night for $11 on Udemy. Step by step, the guy walked me all the way through the process. I now have a perfectly installed Facebook tracking and advertising system on my site that I paid $11 and spent 2 hours. It took me 2 hours and $11 on a Tuesday night. I sat down here with a local IPA. I drank that while I followed along with what this dude from wherever he's from the South said. Bam, bam, bam. Everything works perfectly. On to the next thing. Like, checkbox. Move on.
And for somebody that doesn't,
that complicated. I don't know shit about Facebook pixels. I spent $11 and dude told me what to do, and now it works. Like,
okay, so let's go back for anybody that's like, what's a pixel? No, but seriously, so seriously, because I think this could actually be a big, like, eye opener for some people. How can that help? What is it? How can it help? Why would I spend 2 hours?
So I'm going to try not to, I'm going to get nerdy as shit. And if you're not following along, that's on you. Step your game up.
I want third grade.
So I firmly believe I firmly believe that well done marketing and advertising is both a good thing for the people, for your clients. It's a reminder. Well done. Not people are spamming you, not, penis pills. I'm talking about like, well done. So, it's thoughtful. It's fits into the flow of your life. Okay. So let's take a common scenario of why I'd want to use a pixel. So a pixel in general is a little snippet of code that goes on your site that lets Facebook know if someone has visited your site in general, or a particular page, or a series of pages, what have you. Okay. So I'll give you an example of why, for Rogue. Rogue Risk is my agency. So someone visits Rogue and they check the site out and they hit the proposal page, right? So request a proposal, hit the proposal page. They may even start filling out the form and then they stop, they leave. There's a million reasons why that could happen. They may decide they're not interested, or kid walks in the room, dog starts barking, boss walks by, phone rings, they get an email, their boo just hit them up on Tinder. Like, there's a million reasons why someone doesn't finish the thing.
Right.
Okay, no problem. So they leave and they go about their day. But something brought them to the site, and something got them to the proposal page, and something had them sit there for a period of time. So Facebook has tracked all that activity. And now what I can do is, the next time that they show up on Facebook, I can have a video targeted specifically to the event that they did, which says, "Hi, I saw that you were on my site and you didn't finish the form. If you're still interested in working with Rogue, click the link that's attached to this video, come back, finish your form so we can start working together. We would love to have you." Now, that's a very simplified thing, and I'm not saying that's the actual language I would use, but it gives you the idea. That video will only fire for the few people that actually have that scenario, right? I mean, over the course of the year, maybe you have a couple hundred people that happens to, but if you then can pull in 20 or 30 or 40 of those people, those are 20, 30, 40 more proposals that you would have otherwise lost, because they would have just gone back to their, they would have probably forgotten, not come back.
Mm-hmm. And how much did that cost you in advertising budget for that per lead for the retargeted
dollars? Not I mean, I'm not talking about tens of dollars. I mean, basically you just set up an ongoing campaign, and it only fires when a certain scenario happens, which is someone visits the site, comes to the proposal page, spends more than, say, I think I said it, for like 20 seconds on the page, and then doesn't actually hit the page that they would go to if they completed the form. So if that scenario happens, I have a particular video that comes out that says, basically what I just told you. So we're not talking massive. It's just thinking through the process. And the only way to get there is use a Facebook pixel. But the truth is, I had set up Facebook pixels on a very generic level before, but never that detailed. And that's why I bought the Udemy course, implemented the more detailed tracking, which was not hard. I just needed someone to tell me how to do it, and then move on with my life. I think the problem is people want the results without actually having to do the work. Like, they don't want to have to stay up till 11 p.m., watching a video and doing that actual work. They just want to go, I don't know how to do remarketing.
Right.
Shit, I don't know how to do remarketing either. I got to learn. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't born with remarketing skills. I didn't go to remarketing school. I went to Udemy. I watched a stupid video. The video taught me how to do it. I did it, and now I know how to do it. Like, there we go. Acquire the skills.
2 hours of time and $10.
Yeah.
And what have you gotten? That ROI is massive off of what you've done from that.
So it's to me, and then you just, and again, now, and then it's incremental, like everything else, right? So now I have one track set up, and then every time I find a new scenario, I know how to do it again, right? So maybe next month I put another scenario together, and then a year from now, I have hopefully, I mean, again, things change and things break and you fix them, but like, hopefully I have a really well-oiled machine for the various instances why someone would come and not fill out the form. Other things, someone comes, fills out the form, doesn't ever set up a call with you or doesn't answer the phone. You can set up remarketing for that thing. So now those people are getting maybe just some general brand awareness videos that are just saying, so now they're going, oh shit, like, I never responded to those guys, because that happens. I mean, there's a million reasons why someone doesn't respond to you. If you categorize all those reasons and apply it against they just don't actually want to work with you, all the other reasons are drastically more. So it's just about being persistent and getting them in. And I'd say most of the time, a respectful persistence, your prospects turn clients actually appreciate that. A respectful persistence. If you're just sending them crappy stuff and it's annoying, then it's annoying. But as long as you're being respectful, I think that's a really valuable way to draw people back into your business.
I'd like to debunk maybe 2 myths. So somebody's saying, I think one of the biggest roadblocks would be that a lot of times we're so reactionary in our agencies or in our business that we are looking at where do I get the fastest return on ROI? Yeah. So we're constantly doing all those actions that's helping us today. Then tomorrow, I got to do those same actions again. Then the next day, I got to do the same actions again. Or what you're saying is you spend an extra 2 hours, a little bit, and then you have this thing set up on automatic pilot that's constantly helping you. And I think a lot of times in business, it's so easy for us to not do those things that doesn't have an immediate ROI on it.
It's so much easier to make excuses, dude. It's so much easier to show up at the conference and go, oh, I don't have time to do that. Oh, I can't hire that person. Oh, I don't have time to learn about VAs. Oh, it's just, that's way easier. Then you get to do your little pity party and everyone gets beer glasses and you go to sleep at 8:00 and you watch your shows. And like I like to watch TV too. I love TV, but to me, like, there are times when 2 hours of work at night is more important because I'm not an excuse maker. I'm not always right. Things break, things don't work. It happens all the time. I waste time on stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it happens. But what I'm not is an excuse maker. And the problem is too many people are excuse makers. And I've been teaching, sharing my story, speaking, doing podcasts, doing videos for a very long time now, like literally 10 years or more. And I've gotten to the point where it's like, I don't think we should be convincing anymore. Like, you guys shouldn't be convincing people. Well, you do your business. I'm going to tell you your life. I am not in the business of convincing people anymore.
Right.
Because if you can't see how you're either comfortable and God bless you. If you're comfortable and life is good, don't do this shit. It sucks. It's hard work. You know what I mean? Don't do this. Don't do it. If you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable, then you have one of 2 options. Go do the thing or make excuses. And if you make excuses, I literally don't care about your success. I just don't, because you have to care about your success for me to care. You don't have to have the answers. You don't have to know what you're doing. You can be lost and frustrated and confused and angry. And I am good with all those things. You know what I mean? I'll point you to you guys. I'll point you to someone else. I'll help you, whatever. I'm good with that. But if you're an excuse maker, I literally don't care, because you don't care about your success. So when I hear that, when I hear people honestly say it, now everybody grumbles. I grumble too. You know what I mean? Whatever. There's a difference between grumbling and excuse making. And I think sometimes people just, they would rather make the excuse. It's their lifestyle. Their lifestyle is making excuses. And I just kind of have given up on those people.
Yep. I think it's funny too that I've actually talked to my mom about this. I've talked to a lot of people about this. When you get older, and it's already happening to me, you get lazier. Like, there's just certain things in life that you put on autopilot. And I'm sure it's like a brain function where, it's your brain just, like, there's certain things that need to go on autopilot to take in new stuff.
Yeah.
But like, we got to, like, I think one big excuse is, oh, they're young, they get technology. You hear that all the time. Like they're younger. Dude, it's the same. It's literally the same. They put in X amount of hours. If you put in X amount of hours, you'll get it. Just don't be lazy. Like there's a difference between, I think people just shut it out. The older you get, you shut out stuff. And it's like, you can't shut the stuff out anymore.
Yeah. Since we're debunking, let's debunk that one. So young people know how to use the technology. It doesn't mean they know how to set the technology up or what its purpose actually is, specifically for the function of a business. So I run into people all the time that can work a cell phone 1,000,000 times faster than I can, but I can outmarket the shit out of them. You know what I mean? Just because they grew up, they're 22 years old and they grew up with cell phones doesn't mean they're good at marketing. It doesn't mean they're good at sales. It doesn't mean they're good at running a business. It doesn't mean they know insurance. It just means they know how to use a cell phone. So that one, I understand why people feel that way, because you know, this magic box can be really overwhelming. Like I get that. I get frustrated with it. The other day, for some reason, I'm an iPhone user and you have the like face swipe up thing.
Yeah.
For some reason, the other day, it just stopped working, and I had to punch the 6 numbers into my phone.
Unreal.
You know what I mean? Like, I get it. Like, you know, it's technology. It's frustrating, but I think we just have to remember that, like, they grew up with it, yes. So they're a little more. The usage of the tool comes a little easier for sure, but it doesn't mean they know how to actually implement it. That's a big differentiation. And I would take one of your listeners' knowledge of how to run an insurance business and how to sell over, you know, baser knowledge of a cell phone any day of the week. So I actually think that those people, they probably, I think the ones that are worthwhile envy your skills as a business owner or being in business and sales and marketing. They envy those skills way more than the fact that they can work this Snapchat app. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
So yeah, I just think, you know, so I think when you put it in that perspective, it helps you. Cause you know, I'm with you, man. Like I used to be on the forefront of tech. I kind of feel like there's some stuff that like TikTok. I went into TikTok. I looked around TikTok. I deleted TikTok and said, nope, I'm good. I see it. It's funny as shit. It's addicting. I get it. I get why people use it, but I'm good. Like I'm gonna move on from that one. Like that has passed me by. That's cooler than I am. And I think we just have to be okay with some of that.
Well, you can learn the tech, but you can't learn the vision and the experience, right? The vision and experience come with time. Like your ability to masterfully deliver video comes because of 10 years of doing it almost every day, right? That's something that you've earned. Like you've earned it. You don't get that one day later. And even with the scenario you described with the Pixel, and I have a pretty good understanding of that. I've done some of that stuff, but you know, things change, it gets tricky. Well, you know what? You love it. And you said yourself, you're nerdy, so you like to understand and do these things, which is awesome, right? But if we can all agree, and anybody listening will agree, that doing that, what you said, is a multitude times better than not doing what you said.
Nothing.
And whether or not you're nerdy or not, if you want to do it, great, you can learn it. If you don't, you can pay somebody and they will do it for you, right?
Amen.
So you can go on freelancer.com or hire VA. You can do, I have somebody in Vietnam building a site for me right now that costs $200, right? I mean, it's like, there's no excuse. No excuse.
And Ryan just left.
He left the dog.
And he's back. He's back.
You guys probably couldn't hear, but my dog started barking and it was driving me crazy. So I just closed the door.
My dogs are barking. Standing up.
Yeah, I told her that we were doing a podcast and she just didn't listen.
Gosh.
Dude, I completely agree with you. You know, I'm with you. I still use Fiverr sometimes for really small things.
Yeah.
I use Freelancer. I have local people. I have national people. You know what I mean? It's just a tough thing. You know, man, I think, you know, I just, this whole, cause you know, I'm sure you guys get it all the time because you have a platform, and you want to be as helpful as possible. What I find interesting is there's a very clear difference, and I'll be interested if you see this, but I can tell when someone sends me an email fairly easily now if they will ever actually implement the advice I'm about to give them. Right?
Yeah.
And if I because of the nature of the question, like some people will just be like, well, what do you do about website? And I'm like, that's a stupid effing question. That's a stupid question. Like, go pick a website vendor, spin one up. I don't know. You're supposed to change them every 2 years anyways, so who cares? Like, just go pick one. That's a silly question to me. Something more nuanced is, hey, I have this niche I'm going after. I'm struggling with which platforms to choose. How do I build a tone around that? Do you have any videos? Do you have any resources you've already created? Now I know this person's being respectful of my time because they're asking if I've created anything already. They're asking a very specific question that I can give a very specific answer to with value, and then they can take that information and go forward. And I think for those listening who are interested in picking the brains of other people, and again, I don't know everything, and I'm not trying to present myself as more than what I am, but I think when you can get this industry in general is so incredibly open to helping each other. It just is like people are willing to help each other.
Yep.
I think you just have to be. I think if you want to get the most out of individuals, regardless of where they sit in any organization, be very specific, be respectful of their time, and they'll answer those questions. And I found that my entire career. I think what happens sometimes is we ask these very broad, like thoughtless questions, and it just makes you not want to help. Or just maybe I'll answer that one later, and then you never get to it. Not intentionally, because it's not like you don't actually want to help. But I think
you don't. I mean, I will say that I agree with that, and I don't want to help people that don't want to be helped. Like, you know what I mean? So if a question's asked in a way that it's like, I'm asking this question so you can validate the reason why I don't do it, why would I answer that? I don't want to validate the reason why you don't do that. I do that. That's why you're asking me, and you're asking me to go against my own. So it's like, you don't want to answer that, essentially. Or you just, I think it's not a bad idea to not talk to that person, because in your world, in my world, in anybody's world that's like trying to do something, move a needle and stuff, we come up against roadblocks. We need to be around positivity. We're trying things that are difficult. We're failing sometimes. And we are optimistic about what we're doing, and we are only going to present that. I don't want to get into a conversation where I'm defending what I'm doing.
Yeah. I also don't want to, I'm not quite so Machiavellian too. Like I'm probably coming off, for some reason I'm like fired up right now, but I'm probably sounding far more like authoritative than I try to help most of the people that I run into. I just think, I feel at times there is a certain type of person who, instead of doing the work, just wants they're exchanging doing the work for asking questions, and then using a lack of response from those questions as a reason that they didn't do the work. And I have to cold call too. Like I have to prospect too. Like I have to figure out ways to reach the type of customers that I want to reach too. Where's my notebook? I have an entire notebook that I use just for script. Well, this is a new one. Well, whatever. I have an entire notebook. Where is it now? Here.
See, there's the determination.
Notebook. I'm constantly scripting, writing ideas. Hey, here's how an idea hits you. Here, talk to text, talk to notes, whatever. Like I have Post-it notes all over the place. You probably can't see them in the camera angle, but like I'm constantly thinking of how do I attack this person? Oh, I think this guy knows this guy. Let me check that out on LinkedIn. Oh, he does know that. Okay, here, I'm going to send him an email here, see if he'll introduce me over. Like, I'm doing that work all day long. And I think, and maybe this just puts a pin in this particular conversation, but like, there's no magic bullet. Like I will help just about anybody that sends me an email, even the stupid questions I'll answer. But I guess at the end of the day, I don't have anything that I can say to anybody that just is like the answer. I'm doing the work just like everybody else. You know, trying to hit all 5 pillars, right? Like networking, referrals, advertising, marketing, cold calling. Like I'm doing all that stuff too. And sometimes one vein works a little better than another. Sometimes another vein is working. You know, one day you could call me and I'd be like, advertising's the way to go. YouTube ads, because one YouTube ad hit a home run, but the last 4 could be shitty. Like, I don't, you know, I guess I just feel sometimes like I'm just friggin' trying to figure it out too. And all I really want is to exchange information with people who are doing the same.
Right? Well, yeah, at least try first, right? Google it, look it up, go to Udemy, figure this out. Don't call and say, hey, how do you do a Facebook pixel?
Yeah.
Really? I mean, you can type, how do you do a Facebook pixel? And a multitude of things will pop up.
So many things.
Right. And you can get started. And at least then the question is, I'm stuck with doing a Facebook pixel. Have you ever encountered this? Okay, now we're talking. You actually care. You want to move forward. Right. But not, hey, does this lead company work? I don't know.
I don't know.
Buy them and try it out. Find out. I mean, all day long, which leads are working. I mean, dude, I don't know. Why don't you buy?
No, leads don't work.
Leads
don't work. You work.
Internet leads don't work. I'm like, what's your process? My answer every single time is, what's your follow-up process? Well, we call them a couple times and put it in a spreadsheet. Well, guess what? It won't work. Lead companies, your case. I mean, that's a fact. You're never going to with lead.
Dude, I'm with you on that. You know, another thing that helps for people is masterminds. I find now, again, there's a couple of things with masterminds from my opinion. Don't join a million, join like one.
Right.
And because some people go like mastermind crazy. They're like, oh, I'm in this mastermind and that mastermind. And and that's overload. I'd say do some homework, talk to the people that are involved, and make sure that it involves paying money, unless it's a close group of people. Because then the paying money part is just for skin in the game, not, you know, you're not trying to make anyone rich. I'm not saying pay thousands of dollars or whatever, unless you feel like it's worth it. I'm saying even if it's $10 for a coffee club, like I'm in a couple of I'll give you an example. So I'm in that video marketing mastermind. So with people who use video in the insurance industry, who market video, and we talk about it. We talk about it all the time. I'm in another like general insurance mastermind that my buddy runs, which is pretty just, he constantly is interviewing really interesting people, and I like it, and I like to support him, but there's really good conversations there. And then I'm in a man meeting. I have a man meeting on once Friday here locally in the Albany area. It's like 8 dudes. We get together one Friday morning every month, and we just talk about stuff. Sometimes we talk about life, kids, being married. We talk about, whatever. We talk about business. We talk about whatever. But what happens is, like the other day, I was looking for a bank, like a commercial bank, and a commercial banker, and like someone who knew the insurance industry. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I was looking for a bank, and sorry, I can take tangents. Like that's my other superpower, tangents that don't matter to anybody but me.
So hard on yourself.
And I got 4 responses. Right? Hey, here's a guy. He can help you if you get in a pinch. Not my first choice. Okay, that's great. That's a good backup answer. I got another guy, calls me on the phone immediately, says, talk to this woman, Lynn. She's at Pioneer Bank. She's the best. Like, she'll give you her full attention. She'll walk you through. Like, go see her. Boom. Now I got a commercial banker who I can call, who from a recommendation, you know what I mean? And I wouldn't have been able to find her if I didn't have that mastermind. I mean, maybe I could have, but now I have someone who I've spent time with, who I've shared parts of my life with, who is going to feel responsible for that recommendation, right? I mean, if he's not going to refer me to somebody who's bogus, because like your Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure poster that you have behind your head. he's not going to refer me to somebody like that because we have a relationship. And, you know, whether that's virtual or, you know, local, that I think those masterminds are really important for people. I used to kind of be like, and I'd say the last like 5 or so years, I have really come to feel like, I mean, I've gotten some of my best recommendations, you know, being an independent agent, like having to deal with carrier appointments. Like I've gotten inroads into carrier appointments that I feel like I sidestepped the line a little bit because I have some people in different groups who can vouch for me and, you know, and that kind of stuff. So I just think whatever circles you run in, finding a few masterminds is a really, really strong investment of time.
I agree. And especially with, that's an awesome point that, yeah, it does help you sidestep, but I mean, accountability too, like going back to what we were talking about with, you know, some people just don't implement, and it happens to all of us. There's things that's like, oh, I want to do that. And none of us are perfect and we don't jump on things right away, but like the masterminds do help where it's like, all right, I got to keep doing this because I don't want to keep showing up every week and saying I didn't do it. You know what I mean? Like everybody needs accountability. I think.
I agree.
Well, we're working on a million things. It helps you to prioritize and really figure out what's most important, right? Jason and I have the inner circle. We're trying to put the event together, all of the different things. And it's like, then the agency steps in and, you know, then there's all these issues and we get back next week. What do we do? Oh, you know, so things can really get inappropriately prioritized.
Yeah.
And those things provide a lot of clarity.
I think it is rarely your best option to be operating on an island.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's really the deal. I think, you know, maybe you need to do a little clarifying thought, some self-reflection. Sure. Like go off on your own for a little bit. But you can't operate a business that way. Like you can't do that. Like being on an island is just very, very rarely. And some of the glamorizing of people who kind of like went it on their own, that's movies. That's not real life. Like you always have somebody. You always have a group of people, most likely, who you knew, hey man, I got this idea. How stupid is this idea? That's not your worst. Okay. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of stuff you're looking for. Or the person will be like, dude, do not do that. Like I got this buddy over here, did that thing. It's not the right thing to do. Don't do it. And then, you know, and you're like, okay, cool. And that to me, I just think, I think we sometimes are afraid to ask for help, or, you know, because we don't want to look like we're in a position of weakness. I think that our egos get in the way. I know being an insurance agency owner is a very ego-driven enterprise. You know, it just is. Like there's a lot of ego involved in it. And I think stepping out of that is really important. If you struggle with Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday is a tremendous book to help you work through that. So I just think just ask for help. Like just go to a meeting, go to a conference, whatever it is, get a group of agents together and just be like, man, I don't know how to do this thing. Like I'm really struggling with it. I tried this, that didn't work. I tried this, didn't work. You know, hiring's a big one. Like no one talks about hiring. It's one of the most important aspects of your business. Stupid accounting stuff. I know people who have literally put their business years behind because they were too afraid to ask for help in like accounting areas and tax areas and stuff like that. Like it's just, you know, and like I said, you can kind of cut the line by being part of a group of people you trust, asking these questions and then getting the answers.
For sure.
Yep.
Tell us about Rogue Risk and other things that you're working on or up to.
Yeah. So maybe I'll finish the intro story since we went on so many tangents there. So fast forward, I've been an agent for 8 years, doing great. And so I worked for my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, my wife was working in the agency, my sister-in-law was working in the agency, and I had really taken on digital marketing. The last month that I was there, I drove 90 inbound leads. I wrote 63 policies on $100 budget. So we were cranking, zero advertising, all marketing.
That's incredible.
That was just that channel. I mean, we had all the other channels going too. That's just like website channel. Basically SEO was content marketing was my thing.
That's in the past, right? A little
that's
different
in the past.
now.
Yeah, that's in the past. So I get off. So at that time, I'm kind of hitting a national scene to a certain extent as someone who's doing this. I mean, again, we're talking about at this point, like 2013, 2014.
Sure. Cutting edge.
And I got an offer from a company called trustedchoice.com, which may or may not have heard of. And to be the chief marketing officer of they had like a national lead distribution platform to a certain extent. And they wanted me to build a media arm, which is Agency Nation, if anyone's ever heard of that platform. So they hired me to do that. I built Agency Nation, moved on to Bold Penguin, which is another insurance technology company. I was a chief marketing officer there. And my brother-in-law at that point, unfortunately, contracted a very rare form of cancer, at which point I had to come home because all these jobs required me to travel quite a bit. So I came back home and I was the CEO. I took the first best job, which ended up being a CEO position for a local fitness enterprise, which was something weird. It was weird. It was good. It was really good experience running a business, but like I was still kind of like involved in the insurance industry. My wife's still an independent agent. So I was still like very much involved in the industry and what was going on. And then the founder of that was really a temporary job. The founder basically needed to take care of some other stuff. And he took the CEO position back and it was time for me to leave. That was October of this year. And when that was over, I had been through my work as an agent, all the reading I had done, the thousands and thousands of agents that I've spent time with, the hundreds, if not thousands of carrier people I've spent time with, the vendors. I developed through that time a philosophy on an agency model that I could build. And when the metabolic was the name of the fitness business, when that came to an end in October, it was just, this was the next thing I was going to do. So the name of my agency is Rogue Risk. You can go to roguerisk.com and check us out. There's not a tremendous amount there because we technically haven't even launched yet. Hopefully either next week or the week after we'll officially launch and be open for business. And it's what I call human optimized or agent optimized agency. So there might be some discrepancies between captive and independent. I'll just describe the best I can. So classically in the independent side, they are service heavy. They're really service heavy enterprises. The vast majority of your staff are service people. And oftentimes even the producers, once they hit a certain amount of production, just essentially become service people too. And the agency starts to bog and wallow and plateau and then coast. And that is where a large majority of the independent agencies sit today. They have a principal who's between 62 and 72 years old. They do not have another producer. Their average employee revenue per employee is somewhere between like 100 and 120,000. They haven't grown in more than 3 years. So what I want to avoid is the service quagmire. So when I say agent optimized, what I mean is you pull your workforce forward and you create you create basically an agent staff that is frontline underwriters, they're relationship builders, they're true risk managers, and what I'm going to do is instill in them the same philosophy that I have for insurance, which is if the agent does his job on the front end, then you don't need the heavy service staff on the back end. The problem is most agents do not set expectations. They do not. I'm going to shop hey, let me shop your stuff. If you've ever said, hey, let me shop your stuff, slap yourself in the face. You're not a bad person for having said that, but you deserve to be slapped in the face. I'll even do it right now because I've said it before, right? Like, just do it. But what it does is it doesn't establish you as a true professional. Mm-hmm. And I have a good buddy. His name is Jason Cass, and he talks a lot about why aren't insurance agents considered professionals like lawyers, doctors, accountants. And he has a bunch of things bunch of reasons why he feels that we don't, and how we can change that. Right? His mission is not chastising. He's saying we can change this, and we should. And I believe that you can get rid of that service layer. And so basically what Rogue is going to be high touch agents, VAs, and then carrier service centers. And that's how we're going to handle it. We're going to establish up front that the carrier, the Pam or Steve at the carrier knows that product better than anybody. So you're going to talk to me. We're going to spend time together. And again, time is relative because obviously there's a convenience factor in all this too. And we can talk about that. But I think changing that conversation, I'm gonna let Geico and some, and Progressive talk, 15 minutes this, 10% that. That's fine. That's their market. I'm gonna let them have that market. But anybody who cares more about what's happening, cares more about their family, their financial responsibility to their family, I think there's a very large market that is underserved and is dying for people to start talking to them and building brands that speak to their desire to be properly covered. And maybe not those words, but that idea. And that's how I'm attacking the market. And you'll see that if you go to Rogue Risk, you'll see just some of the language. It's not perfect, so don't, it's like all things that I do, it's a work in progress, but that's the idea.
You are 100% right too on us being different. We have to differentiate against the Geicos and then that audience also, because otherwise, if we're going to be the guy, let me shop you around. Well, guess what? The internet can shop you around.
Yeah.
So take that person out, right? You're eliminating yourself by making that statement.
Yeah.
Have to be the professional.
We always teach our agents that they're the doctors of insurance. You don't ask them what they want. You don't go to a doctor's office and they say, I think I want a Z-Pack because I'm sick and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, okay, let me just get you that. You know what I mean? Like you go there and you're asking them their professional opinion and you prescribe it. So that's what we do in our office. You prescribe it. I don't care if they want the lower coverage. You ask the questions, and then based on the diagnosis, you diagnose what they need. Tell them this is what I recommend. You know what I mean? You can always go backwards. Like if they absolutely, it's 1530 or nothing else, at least say, I recommend this. This is why I recommend this. And to be honest, to do that is a disservice to you because you're really not going to get what you want. You're going to pay all this money. You're not going to get out of it what you deserve.
You know what I say when they want state minimums? When someone wants state minimums, I learned this from my father-in-law, who's a gangster killer. He would, so if he would, let's say, so we weren't allowed to write less than 300 single if you did not own property, and not less than 500 single if you had property at my father-in-law's agency. That was it. Like you had two options. You could go up to $1 million, but the minimum we would write is 300,000. Okay. And that happened, I'm not shitting you, 97% of the time. And here's how it happened. No, I have 5,100 and I think I'm just going to stick with that. Okay, hold on one sec. And right in front of them, you flip a piece of paper over and you write down, my name is, Maria Jones, and I am choosing 5,100. My agent has something to the effect of has recommended 300 single. I am declining that in favor of 5,100, and then a line with an X on the back of a piece of paper, and you spin it around and you push it in front of her. And I'm like, I need you to sign this to sell you 5,100. I'll do it, but I need you to sign this piece of paper. And she's going to go, why? And you're going to go, because you're going to get into a car accident. That's not going to be enough coverage. And you're going to sue me because I didn't do my job. And she's going to go, what? And I go, that's not enough coverage. It's not enough. If you have your worst day, insurance is for your worst day, right? Yeah, insurance is for my worst day. If you get in a little tiny fender bender and it's like $400, do you need insurance? No. Okay, cool. But if you kill someone, you need more than $50,000 in at-fault liability. True or false? True. So I need you to sign this so that the government knows that I told you that, so that when you sue me because your life is, I'm getting a little apocalyptic here. But,
Right.
But no, that's very similar to what I would say. Is basically like the government you're going to come after me. And a judge is going to have to decide whether I did my job or not. And this piece of paper proves that I did. And dude, they never fucking signed that piece of paper ever. They always went, I'll just take the 300 single. What's it, like $17 more? Yeah, okay, I'll just take that. You know what I mean? Like, these are the kind of things you got to do because, they've been trained. That's the problem is most consumers have been trained poorly. And it's our job to beat that out of them.
Well, you told the story and you future paced their pain, right? And people are going to move out of pain.
Yeah.
Like that they're moving to avoid that pain. You painted the picture and they're like, fuck that. I don't want to have any part of that.
Yeah.
Well, fine. I'll pay. It's only $20 more. Who cares?
That's the thing. We're talking about like $20.
Right.
Like the difference between, I guess if you're down in like the 15-30 range, but but the difference between 500 or 5100 or 100 300 and 300 single, which you can debate 100 300 versus 300 single. I prefer 300 single. That's my personal opinion, but whatever. The difference in price is like peanuts, but because it's lower, they're always going to choose that lower option. And I really believe that it is our job, it is our moral duty, as insurance agents, as licensed insurance professionals, to help people make that decision, that because shitty stuff happens and it's not their job to think about that, right? They're purchasing the product. It's our job to help them understand what they're buying. And, I just think I think there are a lot of people that think that way and there are a lot of people that don't. And sometimes, those aren't easy conversations, but they certainly, I believe, are part of the job.
Yep. We went over a crazy amount of awesome knowledge nuggets today. Can you tell me, what would your number one piece of advice be to any agent either getting into the industry or maybe one that's that's getting all fired up?
Subscribe to the Insurance Dudes podcast.
Yeah.
Listen daily. After that, I would say I would go back to the mastermind thing. I really think if you surround yourself, like find a mentor, find an agent. I have a woman, her name is Emily Hewling. She is a consultant now, mostly for MGAs, managing general agents, but she called me randomly one day, like 10 years ago, to ask me something about something I had written. And then I just started talking to her and she became a mentor of mine. And she has helped me make some of the harder decisions in my career, not just in my insurance agency life. And I have a bunch of other agents that I call. When I was starting Rogue, I had about 6 people that I called and spent real time with. I said, look, I need like 2-3 hours of your time. I want to run this by you and I want you to poke holes in it. And and take that down to a smaller extent. You can do that when you have a group of people with all the decisions. Hey, I'm thinking about hiring this guy. He said this. Should I be concerned? Nah, man. People say that all the time. It's all good. Okay, cool. Now I can move forward. It's little things like that will help you move through the business faster. And I think the best way to do that is surrounding yourself with people you trust.
Love it.
Drop the mic.
I want to know every way we can get Ryan Hanley. Every way.
Well, if you're interested in more bullshit like you heard today, go to ryanhanley.com and I have all kinds of stuff. I have videos, articles, podcast, which I do twice a week, which is mostly interviews. I do pull in some people from outside the industry. So if you like, sometimes I bring in people that I think are cool, like Alan Stein Jr. and Hanley, marketing people, like stuff like that. If you're interested in just checking out Rogue, I mean, I'm sure no one needs to buy insurance from me. I can't tell it to you yet. But if you just want to see like what I'm talking about and the brand, that's at Rogue Risk. LinkedIn is probably my favorite social network. So if you're into that, LinkedIn's a great place. Just search Ryan Hanley. You should probably find me. The other ones are not in insurance. So if you like a Professor Ryan Hanley, that's not
him. Not that guy. Somehow he snuck into the first page.
Yeah.
We'll include all of those links. We'll dig them up, get them all in the show notes so people can find you and ask only good questions. But man, totally appreciate your time and so great to meet you.
Yeah,
heard a lot about you. And
no, this is awesome. Thank you so much for having me. And obviously, I've kind of seen you guys from afar for a while, and it's just awesome to spend time. So I just really appreciate it. And that rad poster has just had me trying. I love it. I love it.
Just staring at it.
There was a good month or two period that it was all eBay. And I just kept going on eBay, buying stuff from my childhood.
I love it. I love I probably would have went with WrestleMania 3 when Hogan body slams on Andre the Giant, but you can't beat the Ultimate Warrior.
That was big time.
And Ghostbusters 1 is still the best. So I have other thoughts on your posters as well. The fact that you have 3 Michael Jacksons really speaks to me as well.
And Pee-wee.
He's the only multiple participant in his wall is Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson was a big part of my life. Big fan. That was my first concert. I thought it was
Michael
Paula
Jackson
with my mom. Yeah.
Oh, so much better than mine. Jesus.
Bad tour. And then I've also been to his house when he was alive twice, which was the coolest thing I've ever done.
Walked by Janet and didn't have the stones to go up to her.
No, I was dumb.
Yeah, but it's Janet Jackson. I mean, Jesus.
You got to do it.
Yeah. Gosh.
Oh.
I don't know. I might have hesitated on that one too.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna hold that probably against you.
Yeah, I was wearing my bad T-shirt from the tour too. So
how old were you?
I was like 20.
That's a tough draw because you're kind of fanboying out at the fanboy place, and then you're gonna fanboy on her. I can see that. There's a lot of emotions there.
It was Joe Jackson's birthday. We did this 2 years in a row, and there was a ton of C celebrities there. Like a couple cool memories was one. It was Jennifer Love Hewitt was on the grass, and I had a huge crush on her in the 90s.
Yeah,
playing with one of his monkeys, like that was in a diaper, and it was so cool. And I'll never forget. She's saying like, "Oh, I wish people like understood me or something," and I'm like, "Oh, I just wish I had the gall to talk to you because I would love." To talk to you
and the monkey,
but and the monkey, and play with the monkey. Yeah, awesome. and then MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice and MC Hammer started like dancing and like he was being loud, and I was just like, this is like the coolest event ever.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. What's funny is all the artists that you just named are the songs that like my kids listen to. Like Ice Ice Baby came out, I think it came out when I was like 5 or 6 years old. And I remember listening to Ice Ice Baby and being like, I don't understand half of what they're saying, but this song is dope as hell. Yeah. And now my 6-year-old loves Ice Ice Baby too. I think his mom played it for him and he wants to listen to Ice Ice Baby all the time. I'm like, how is it that like 30 years later, my son is listening to the same, like loving Vanilla Ice? I don't listen. Let him listen to Ride That Train though. That's a little too.
It's solid.
You should get him the haircut, man, with the lines on the sides and the eyebrows.
Dude, my kid is already way cooler than me. It's not even funny. Both of them.
That's awesome.
No, guys, this was awesome. Anything you guys need, you just let me know. This has been tremendously fun, and I really appreciate it.
Same from
All
us,
right,
man. Yeah,
Yeah.
we love what you're doing.
Sweet.
We'll see you down the road.
Yeah.
Hopefully you will be back. Jason, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up one of our sponsors, EverQuote.
Oh, tell me a little bit about them.
Well, I've been using them for a couple months, and I'll tell you that the results are delightful. It's been now a couple months, and over time, my cost per sale has dropped every single week.
That is awesome. Tell me, so you're on a specific program with them?
Yeah, it's called the Accelerated Growth Program. And this bad boy gets you a better deal on those leads, so way less expensive. And you get a consultant that's going to actually go over your results to make sure you're tracking properly.
And so you've been doing that for the last couple of months and consulting with them?
Yeah. And I see everybody complain about leads and this and that. And it's like, look, if you don't have a process to track and measure your results, then I can totally get it. You don't even know what your results are, right?
And you asked them to give all the insurance dudes and dudettes out there a killer deal on this, and they came through, didn't they?
They came through, and I know you're going to take advantage of it, but if they go to go.everquote.com/insurance dudes, that's go.everquote.com/insurance dudes, then guess what?
What?
Deal City.
I'm there.
Do it.
Hey, you've got to check out the Insurance Dudes Inner Circle coming soon, where you get extended interviews as well as live coffee talks in our private Facebook group. Join the mailing list today at theinsurancedudespodcast.com. Hey, thanks for checking out the Insurance Dudes. Hey, please subscribe. We got some really great stuff coming out.